Climate change is a major issue affecting the future of our planet. Before human influence, climate change occurred solely through natural causes. Not only were they natural, they often occurred slowly and on much smaller scales, giving the Earth the time to adjust accordingly. Examples of these causes are the eruptions of volcanoes, sending plumes of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and from external sources such as solar activity. However, since the Industrial Revolution, massive amounts of greenhouse gases have been pumped into our atmosphere and have continued at an exponential rate. These greenhouse gases, trapping heat and altering the climate, are creating a rise in global temperatures. As a consequence to these rising temperatures, the polar ice caps and glacial fields have begun to melt worldwide. The polar ice cap has begun melting at a rapid rate of 9% every 10 years, and the Arctic's ice thickness has decreased by 40% over the past 55 years. Current models are projecting that the Glacier National Park in Montana will be ice-free in almost 60 years. Another astonishing discovery is that if the ice held by Antarctica and Greenland melts during this century and the next, there could be an enormous sea level rise of about 400 feet. As seen here from space, major melting of Antarctica has already occurred, with an ice shelf the size of the state of Rhode Island breaking off in the early 2000s. As water levels continue to rise, coastal shores and beaches will erode away. Then, with certain areas becoming readily flooded by tidal swells and storm surges, shorelines will change on a drastic level. A major area of concern is along the Gulf Coast. Within this region, residents are experiencing some of the highest rates of sea level rise in the world. As a consequence, some of the highest rates of wetland loss and coastal erosion are occurring. Wetlands, as well as fringe forests and barrier islands, are essential in diminishing the effects of storm surge. Storm surges and the accompanying salt water convert valuable farmland into salt flats and tidal marshes. Due to the detrimental effects of sea level rise, by the year 2100, the United States will be facing a colossal humanitarian and economic catastrophe. Florida, being a low-lying peninsula, is going to experience more of these effects in comparison to other states. In a speech given to the president over a year ago, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island expressed his concern when he stated that in just 4 South Florida counties, 1 foot of sea level rise would endanger approximately $4 billion in property, and that with a 3-foot rise in sea level, there would be approximately $31 billion worth of property reclaimed by the sea. On a national level, the cost of coastal property loss is inconceivable. In order to protect and fortify our at-risk coastlands against rising seas, we would need to build certain defense systems such as seawalls, levees, and dikes. Unfortunately, in order to construct such systems, it will not come with a small price tag. According to Planet Editor, costs of adapting to sea level rise and increasing storm surges range from $840 billion at the low end to $1.1 trillion at the high end. With our country already in trillions of dollars of debt, this is a frightening assessment. So, what can we, the government, and the affected communities do in order to negate the effects of climate change and the damaging rise in water levels it brings to the coasts of the United States? Step 1. Accept it. The government needs to stop ignoring climate change and the many threats it is posing. Once America is able to accept the reality of the situation, only then it will be possible to prevent further damages brought by sea level rise and stop it from worsening. Step 2. The government should raise awareness of the issue through nationwide broadcasts or other informative mediums, informing the general public of sea level rise and how they can reduce their contribution to further damaging our climate. Step 3. Communities along the coast should encourage citizens to volunteer in the restoration and protection of natural barriers like wetlands and barrier islands. Also, these communities should ask for volunteers with construction experience to aid in the building of protection devices such as seawalls and levees. Not only would this reduce construction costs and alleviate the debt, it could bring communities together. Step 4. And finally, the United States should advance the consideration of green alternative fuel sources to stem additional greenhouse gas emissions, decreasing the possibility of creating an even warmer climate in the future. Some possible alternate fuel sources include wind or solar energy to power our communities, and biofuels or electricity to power our automobiles.